Chip Roy, federal spending needs to go back to pre-COVID levels. House Budget Committee member Rep. Chip Roy, R. Texas, says the Biden administration is throwing out crumbs like the Willow oil drilling project after other failed policies. It seems that long-repressed truth about COVID is finally allowed to trickle out. The Wall Street Journal broke the story that the Department of Energy's intelligence now indicates that the COVID-19 virus likely arose from a laboratory leak. FBI Director Chris Wray is now saying the same in public. Despite the FBI's opaqueness with the American people while assessing the origins, for quite some time, most people not religiously devoted to the government/media/big pharma approved narrative could see the writing on the wall years ago. Still, vindication of the truth alone is not enough. Justice demands accountability for all those who withheld and helped obscure information on the origins of this pandemic, especially the World Health Organization, which no longer deserves a scintilla of America's trust, another penny of her tax dollars, or another second of her membership. WHO Director Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus recently lashed out at people asking questions about COVID origins for supposedly turning what should be a purely scientific process into a political football. Such obvious defensive deflection makes sense. After all, while China was doing its best to cover up the virus origins, the WHO was the regime's loudest cheerleader on the international stage, despite all indications of wrongdoing. The WHO parroted Chinese Communist Party, CCP, propaganda from the earliest days of the pandemic. It told the world there was no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission of COVID-19 after ignoring Taiwan's warnings about human-to-human transmission. The WHO praised Beijing for its COVID-19 transparency, while the CCP simultaneously silenced whistleblowers like Dr. Li Wenliang for spreading false rumors about the virus. The WHO even provided false information to Congress in its pro-Chinese Communist PR campaign. Meanwhile, the WHO nevertheless had the audacity to preen about the dangers of misinformation throughout the pandemic. But this long train of abuses does not end with lies and propaganda. Betsy McCaughey, who's on first. Biden's treaty would put Americans' health care last. Biden administration at war with American people, Rep. Chip Roy video. The WHO's stated mission is to promote health, keep the world safe and serve the vulnerable, but COVID-19 showed us that this failure of an organization is riddled with rot and corruption. The WHO and its enablers and so-called public health agencies were architects of a pandemic response that shattered lives, shuttered businesses, impoverished humanity, harmed future generations, a decimated trust in our institutions. President Trump recognized the WHO for what it is and rightly withdrew from the organization in 2020, citing all of its failures. But defying logic, President Biden rejoined and restored funding to the WHO on his first day in office. Then the Biden administration and congressional Democrats doubled down by giving the organization a $280 million taxpayer-funded windfall, on top of the millions of dollars we provide to the organization each year. As if this wasn't enough, the Biden administration is now supporting the creation of a new international agreement that will fork over even more power and legitimacy to globalist WHO bureaucrats in Geneva. Officially tabbed as the WHO Convention, Agreement, or other international instrument on pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response, or WHO-CA+, this zero draft of the proposed agreement, set for final consideration in 2024, would further empower the WHO by granting it more power to craft worldwide public health policy. Specifically, this accord would recognize WHO as the central authority on international health work and give it the power to commit signing nations to squash free speech by tackling so-called misinformation through the promotion of international cooperation. Further, the WHO director would have the power to declare a public health emergency and be tasked with implementing health equity, which effectively means further hamstringing the American people's quality of and access to care to satisfy the WHO's woke, global agenda, all on the taxpayer dime. The World Health Organization, WHO, maintains monkeypox's status a global health emergency. Enough. This nation was founded by defying the will of an unaccountable foreign power. President Biden and his handlers prefer to resubmit the American people to serve the international elite. Congress must not let them. One of the first bills I introduced this Congress would defund the WHO. H.R. 343, the No Taxpayer Funding for the World Health Organization Act would prohibit the United States from providing any contributions to this corrupt organization. Further, simply defunding the WHO is not enough. Congress must ensure that the public health bureaucrats here at home, from Anthony Fauci, to Rochelle Walensky, to Francis Collins, who shredded the Constitution and subjected the American people to years of tyranny, be held accountable too. We can do this through hearings, reforms, and overhauls of their bloated agencies through the appropriations process. It ought to be a simple rule of thumb that we don't give money to organizations that lie and undermine our interests. The WHO completely failed at the very thing it was designed to do, while bolstering the biggest foreign threat to our national security in the process. It will never hold itself accountable. That job belongs to the American people and those elected to serve them.